entrepreneurship, innovation and creativity. Today is the second day of this decadal celebration and the first universities will introduce themselves and the moderator of this session is entrepreneurship and behavioral decision making, and he has acted as the principal investigator of major research projects on women entrepreneurship funded by National Commission for Women, Government of India. He has authored 3 books on accounting and 1 book on entrepreneurship development published by Oxford University Press. Moreover, he has been a contributor to a number of global editions of 18 books on accounting and finance. I would request Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to please come and felicitate our moderator here. So over to you, moderator, sir, for the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fala ma'am, for the introduction, and good morning to all of you. So we are on the second day of this wonderful conference which is being organized by EWG, hosted by Sister Nivedita University and the fellow universities, the University of Calcutta, and I'm super excited to see representatives from different parts of world and different parts of India at the same time. So a warm welcome to all of you, and a warm welcome to the panel members or the students from across the world. I'm super excited to see the different faces, and for the next 45 minutes, what we want to know is basically how business and society are changing from the viewpoint of the youth, who are the future of tomorrow. Yesterday, we had the serious discussions of the serious researchers. The different experts from different fields, they presented papers in the parallel sessions. But now we want to see what the future generations think of business, of society, and what I have just told them, that don't be rigid in your thought. It has to be a free-flowing discussion. That is exactly what we want. And now to formally introduce. Again, I am very excited when in the morning when I was thinking about the panelists, I was something that struck me. We have representatives from 3 universities, and the universities are spread over a period of 160 years. The University of Calcutta was formed in the year 1857. Then Bradley University, I was reading their history, it was formed in the year 1897 after a gap of 40 years. And we have the young university, Sister Nivedita University, which was established in the year 2017. So representatives from 160-year-old stretch we have in this 6 young people amongst us, and I just know their name honestly. So I will ask each one of them to introduce themselves. So from my left, or rather from your left, you have Vanessa from Bradley University. Welcome, Vanessa. We have Fatima, a PhD scholar from University of Calcutta. We have Shebonti and Anushka sitting side by side from Sister Nivedita University. They are from representing the Department of Mass Communication. And we have Zach and Chad from the Bradley University. All 3 from Bradley are business students. So now I will pass on the mic to Vanessa first to just introduce yourself in, say, 3 sentences. Take a minute's time.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Vanessa. I'm a first-year student at Bradley University, and I'm studying international business and business analytics.
Good morning, everyone. This is Fatima Kazi. I'm a research scholar I'm doing PhD in University of Calcutta, Department of Business Management.
Hello everybody, this is Shemonti Das from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at SNU. I feel change is the only constant and media being a pillar to all the sectors I feel and how we'll discuss in the next few minutes.
Hello everyone, a very good morning to one and all present here. I'm Anushka Bagchi and I'm a master's student at Sister Nivedita University of Mass Communication and Journalism.
Hi everyone, I'm Zach DeMonte, a freshman at Bradley University studying management and leadership, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, my name is Jed Franklin. I'm a senior at Bradley University and I study international business and global supply chain management. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so a round of applause for our students, the young brains who will run the show in the future years. Okay, so now I want you all to decide what you want to speak. So can I hear from you, can the audience hear from you what you want to speak about in a brief sentence, 1 or 2 sentences? Vanessa? Yeah.
So I will be speaking about a personal hygiene brand in the U.S. called Dr. Bronner's and how their company uses environmental change and social responsibility to sell their products.
Okay, so broadly in the area of personal hygiene. Okay, next, Fatima. Yeah.
Yes, so I'm going to be speaking on inclusivity of AI in healthcare and how we can make it more accessible and affordable.
Okay.
I'll speak about how media is running into all the sectors, how media is right now at the top, and you tell any sectors, business or any profession, media is how serving everybody.
I would be talking about Zomato Feeding India partnership and how basically this partnership is going to impact underprivileged people, and
I'll be talking about a company I feel has pursued social change and social responsibility is very important to them, Ben & Jerry's. So speaking a little bit about that and their business practices.
I will be speaking about a local company from Peoria. They're called Green Gables and how they practice sustainability efforts.
Okay, so we have what can I say, a varied discussion over here, and without wasting much time, I would just like to set the basic rules that each one of you will have 5 to 6 minutes time to share your stories with the learned audience, and we can have the question answer session if anything is there, not on one-to-one basis, but towards the end, or even if any reflection or any observation is there, even from the audience as well as from the fellow panelists as well. Okay, so without wasting much time, we proceed. So anyone who wants to volunteer first? Yeah, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so the company, like I mentioned, I had chosen was Green Gables. They are a local furniture company outside of Peoria, Illinois. They were founded in the mid-1980s by Bill and Marlene Rouse, and they have grown from a single dealer in 2003 to being in over 200 plus stores across the country in America. In 2016, the company moved into a new 50,000 square foot manufacturing facility. I actually had the opportunity to do a semester-long project with the company and analyze how they do business and look into markets that they could like expand into. I chose Green Gables since they practice sustainability efforts very well. They take old wood from barns or buildings that are going to be torn down and are rotted and reclaim the wood into like beautiful handcrafted furniture. And while touring the facility, I was able to see like where they make the furniture and like see like what they turn it into, such as like dressers, bed frames, and shelving. They turn it into like a wood, like kind of rustic feel, like you'd see something in like a mountain environment, like somewhere in like Switzerland or like Germany or a place like that. And they actually had the opportunity to work with a very cool TV show in America. It's very popular. It's called Yellowstone. And they actually promoted their product on that show and had a collection on their website to so people could buy from that show. It was very special to see how they save the old wood and turn it into iconic pieces of furniture that people buy from all over the world. I personally got to touch and feel some of the items, and it was very smooth, rustic looking, and it was very, very cool to see how they can take that barn wood and reclaim it through like a whole process through their plant. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was brief and small. Acha, any particular reason why you selected this particular organization for discussion?
Yeah, I mostly chose them because I had the opportunity to work with them for that semester-long project, and like we kind of got into detail of how they, our goal for that project was to see what like international markets they could expand into. So we had kind of created like a matrix grid to like, and kind of like different models to see like what countries would give them the best opportunity to sell into. So like, I think in the end we considered like Germany, Canada, kind of like Eastern Europe would be a good fit for them because of the rustic feel of the furniture they create. And I also chose them because I really enjoyed to see the sustainability efforts they create with the wood. So I got to see some of like the old barn wood they took and like see what it was before they like reclaimed it and manufactured it. And it was like very old, run down. And then you kind of got to see the middle ground when they started like reclaiming it and like started to paint it. And then the end product, which is like these huge bed frames that would like, that are like very popular. I mean, it's a pricier product. It's definitely a niche market for them, but it is very cool to like see how they can like take that old wood that was basically gonna die and turn it into pieces that people could use for years to come.
Okay. So while doing your internship or while your engagement with them, have you noticed any change in their business policy or business model because of the climate change and the sustainability issues which are picking up nowadays in the business world?
A little bit. I feel like with that wood, like, I feel like it is, like I said, more of a niche market, so like not many people buy because it is on the pricier side, but like also, like the idea of the TV show, the Yellowstone they used, it was like they were very able to like market their product on that show, so it kind of like got their product out, and so many people could see what they're doing to like save the wood and like keep it in use.
Okay, thank you for sharing your experience. Okay, now I would love somebody from the fair agenda. Yeah, so out of 4 ladies, any one of you who want to go ahead? Shabanti? Okay, you want to present, Fatima? And you have a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, please. So we have Fatima presenting her business story. You can just shift a bit to this side. Yeah. So that
Hello everyone again. It's an absolute honor to stand before such distinguished audience present at this international conference on entrepreneurship. Today I want to talk about a groundbreaking innovation that transforming healthcare and saving lives. And it's an AI-driven solution for breast cancer detection called Niramai. This innovation is not just a technological advancement, but it's a social change, addressing barriers that prevent early cancer detection. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women globally. Alarming statistics state that 1 in every 28 Indian women, they will face breast cancer in their lifetime. What's worse is over 50% of the cases get triggered or get traced at the late stage. It makes the survival rate very risky. Well, why this is happening? Because the traditional screening methods have serious barriers, such as pain and discomfort during mammography, high cost of traditional screening methods, cultural taboos and lack of awareness, and limited access, as only 2,000 mammogram machine is currently available in India for 600 million women present currently in the country. This is where Niramai steps in, breaking this barrier with innovation. Niramai, which stands for Non-Invasive Risk Assessment with Machine Learning. Founded in 2016, scaled up in 2019 by Dr. Geeta Manjunath, an AI researcher and expert with 25 years of expertise in innovation and research. Losing 2 family members back-to-back to late-stage breast cancer inspired her to create a painless, affordable, and radiation-free screening method using AI and thermal imaging. Niramai's patented solution, Thermalytics, is an automated diagnostic tool that uses a portable scanner to capture heat variations in the breast area. It detects even the smallest abnormalities before a lump even forms. All within, by the way, just in 15 minutes. Now let's take a moment to compare this Thermalytics with the traditional mammography. Thermalytics revolutionizes breast cancer detection with its non-invasive, painless, and radiation-free AI-driven thermal imaging, making it ideal for all women, including those with dense breasts. Unlike mammography, which uses ionizing radiation and requires painful breast compression, Thermalytics is safer, more comfortable, and 50 to 70% cheaper, that too while delivering higher accuracy. Its portability enables screening in remote areas by overcoming the barriers of costs and accessibility. More than innovation, Thermalytics is a lifesaver for underserved communities, ensuring early detection reaches every woman regardless location or resources. The power of Niramai is evident in real-life stories. Let me share one. In 2022, a 35-year-old rural Karnataka woman, perfectly healthy-looking, attended a health camp where Niramai was conducting free screenings. She had no symptoms at all. As I've just mentioned, she was perfectly healthy. Yet, Thermalytics detected an early stage tumor that one even manually couldn't find. Today she is cancer-free, all thanks to that simple 15 minutes test. This story is not just about saving one life. It's about the ripple effect of hope and empowerment. To date, Niramai has 28 granted patents and has won many awards and been recognized in many prestigious stages. It operates in over 30 cities across India and has expanded internationally to countries like US, UAE, Sweden, and Kenya. The startup has also raised millions of dollars from impact investors like Ankur Capital. It has also partnered with leading hospitals like Apollo Clinic and Narayana Health to make early detection accessible worldwide. This is actually more than just a healthcare breakthrough. It is actually an example of how entrepreneurship and technology can create a real social impact. Niramai is a testament to the power of innovation in saving lives, empowering women, and making healthcare accessible for all. With this, I would like to end my presentation here with a quote that states, "Together we can make early detection a reality for all, because no one should die due to lack of access to early or timely healthcare." Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Fatima, for the lovely presentation. And please take your seat. And making us all aware. Now, this is something which is a serious problem, which has been there for ages, but this was not easy to identify because of, as you rightly identified, social taboos and many other reasons. And now, with improvement in technology, these are the things which can be sorted. So this is a perfect case of social improvement, social responsibility, and entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship coming together. So thank you for making us aware of this. And we are sure that things like this should spread across the world through conferences, through the participants who are participating in these conferences. Okay. Now, at this point of time, we have received representative, we had heard two representatives from two of the three participating universities, Bradley University, Peoria, University of Calcutta from Kolkata. Now, I would love to listen to any one of the members from the host university, Sister Nivedita University. So it's up to Shebonti, Anushka, you decide. Anushka, go ahead with your presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Anushka, and it is a pleasure to be here today and to participate in this conversation on businesses driving social change. And I would like to apologize in advance if I am unable to convey my points properly. So please take everything that I say with a grain of salt.
This is a free flow discussion, so don't be formal. Just
Right,
go ahead.
sir. I come from a media background and media and communication background, and I've always been fascinated by how narratives shape public perceptions and influence change. Media plays a very powerful role in amplifying stories of social impact, encouraging accountability, and inspiring others to take action. But before diving deeper into that perspective, I'd like to share a more personal experience. Back in school, my friends and I started a small non-profit, and it was a very humble initiative. We got funding from each other because nobody trusted students back then, because with that amount of money, and we had no budget, no corporate backing, just a group of teenagers wanting to make a difference. Our focus was organizing community cleanups, tutoring underprivileged kids, fundraising for local causes, and we even worked during the COVID-19 period, getting oxygen and stuff for people. So what we lacked in resources, we made up in determination. And that experience taught me how grassroots efforts could spark real change. Which brings me to my topic today, which is Zomato's Feeding India's partnership. It is a very crucial partnership aimed at eradicating hunger and improving nutrition in India through various initiatives, which includes providing meals to underserved communities.
So Anushka, just to interfere for our Bradley representatives here, I would like to add that are you all aware of this company called Zomato in India? Yeah, it's a food delivery aggregator basically. So yeah, Anushka, please go ahead.
Right. So Zomato Feeding India is a non-profit initiative by Zomato that focuses on addressing hunger and reducing food waste in India. It was launched in 2019 and collaborates with the restaurants, corporates and volunteers to to take in the surplus food and distribute it to underserved communities. The initiative also runs programs like daily feeding program, providing meals to those in need, and Hunger Heroes, which is their tagline for those who are giving you the food, encouraging individuals to contribute. By leveraging Zomato's extensive network, Feeding India has successfully delivered millions of meals, working towards the goal of creating a hunger-free India. So when I first came across Feeding India, I was like anyone else in the audience here, I was looking to buy myself food. And I went onto the app and I saw that thing over there, do you want to donate 3 rupees to the cause of Feeding India? I was like, what is Feeding India? So I went on Google like anybody else, and I found out that Feeding India has been doing this for a long time now. They went to weddings where they had surplus food, and they took that food and they said that we are not going to waste this. We are going to provide it to to the people who do not get food on the daily basis. As India has a huge population of people who are in that bracket where they do not even get 3 meals a day, Zomato has been a pioneer in this section, if we can call that them. And I felt like I needed to highlight this point if you're as a media student, because this is how the media functions. We did not even know about Feeding India before the media highlighted the fact that Zomato is doing this with them. Zomato's presence in the media is what purported to that put Feeding India in highlight amongst this. So thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So she has brought on table another very interesting move which has happened in India in the recent past, that Zomato, it started as a profit-oriented organization. Definitely we Indians love food, and Zomato and Swiggy, they are making us fatter. And as a result, we need to change our wardrobe every day. That is happening, but this is the social responsibility side of Zomato. In addition to making profit, they are using their network to collect the food which are getting wasted and redistributing it to the BPL, below poverty line people, or say perhaps I have also read it, they distribute it to the orphanages, to the old age homes, and even to schools in the suburban and rural areas where midday meals are definitely served by the government, but they also try to complement them and through their networks. Thank you, Anushka, for bringing this on the dais.
Thank you, everyone.
Now, once we have had representative from all the 3 universities, now who would like to go next? Anyone? Yeah, Zach, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Today, I feel it's good to touch on some companies I feel have handed themselves to social change and responsibility. Ben & Jerry's, a very large ice cream company in the US that at their very founding and their mission statement, including activism and sourcing their products, materials very sustainably, and also giving itself to the community. So there's a few things that Ben & Jerry's stands for. If you go on their website, they'll touch on this with linked prosperity, which means all stakeholders in the company benefit from it, and having a very personal relationship with communities, trying to give back, and also activism. Like you'll see some of their activism in their marketing and labeling of their ice cream flavors, such as a few of their coffee flavors. And I'll need to look at this a little bit more. Working with BLK, Bold for Coffee, so a company that works with black business owners, trying to promote them and other marginalized communities in the United States. They also have a lot of LGBTQ flavors for people, just to speak out about that issue as well. And they also promoted Kamala Harris, so they're one of the only companies I know that'll actually prop up a political candidate and make themselves known on where they stand in the political space in America. They've also done some stuff with right now going on in Gaza right now. They have organized a lot of protests as well against Israel in US campuses. And another one of their mission statements is fair trade, sustainable sourcing. So right now they have 54 local, well, not local, but small dairy farms in the US spread out between Vermont and New York City, New York State, and also 174 other farms in Europe, across Germany, I'm pretty sure the UK and Sweden.
Okay.
So they're a company that likes to give back, likes to work with the community, and speak about change, which is something I feel right now a lot more companies are going towards, but they started this in like 1996.
1906.
1996, around one example comes from that time where Ben from Ben and Jerry's, he went to, and I don't know exactly what it's called, but give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
They went to Washington for Business Leaders for Sensible Priorities in April 1997, where Ben was dressed up as Uncle Fatso, which is a spoof on, Uncle Sam, and tried to promote social change by saying, cutting government programs for underprivileged kids and stuff like that. So they'll go out of their way and they'll make their statement known. So that's something I really respect from that company.
Yeah, definitely. So from food delivery to ice cream. So we are quite connected. So thank you, Zach, for bringing this to all of us. So, and now we have got, as a researcher, what we can say, that we have different case studies on this dais. We can share it with our students so that they can further explore these things. So thank you all. Thank you, Zach, again. So now we are left with 2 panel members to share their stories. Yeah.
I'm completely honored to get a chance to speak with you all and share my words with these young, brilliant minds. As my very mate spoke about dairy and dairy farm, so I'll bring your attention to this. India's very popular, every household in morning gets this packet. This is Amul, the taste of India. Same, sir, same. Everybody of us knows Amul for the character, the girl, Amul girl. Again, that is designed by media, you see. Those large billboards and, at every paper back then, you'll have this advertisement of Amul. Again, you get media there. So my point is, in the success of Amul, media has played a crucial part. Media is very closely tied with Amul, and again, they are not very adversely interrelated with media in like digital market or social media, but in print media, of course, you see. From traditional advertising to digital media, a lot have changed. Again, I'll speak about the slogan, the taste of India. It is the taste of India because every product from milk to paneer and every product is so loved by all the Indians, is also accepted by all the households. That makes a sense. And again, I'll say this is only possible, it has only come up for media. And yeah, that is all from my end.
And here we must respect Dr. Kurian,
Yes.
the founder of Amul. Actually, what he did during the 1960s, the White Revolution, that is something which the current generation, which we must be aware of, you all must be aware of. He started by, it's just a social movement where all village women and village folk who produced milks at their backyards using their livestock, he formed a cooperative and brought that, and today what we see, Amul, the utterly butterly girl, that particular character doesn't have any name as yet, but she is famous across the world through media's contribution as the utterly butterly girl. And I must add, Amul is very interesting. As a business management professor, I would like to say that every week whenever any news, any flashy news, any news that comes up, Amul's marketing team creates, using that utterly butterly girl's words, that can be a sports news, that can be a political news, that can be a horrifying news, whatever be it India, be it across the world, they come out with fantastic media coverages, small advertisements which should be studied by the marketing people like you. Okay, thank you, Shabunti. And now, finally, we are at the fag end, but last but not the least, I have the presenter who is sitting closest to me. Yeah, so Vanessa, please go ahead with your story.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Dr. Bronner's. It is an all-natural personal hygiene brand founded in 1948 by Emanuel Bronner. He was a third-generation soap maker that came from a soap-making family in Germany. So they invented the first liquid castile soap in the 1880s. And so in addition to his product being both all-natural and organic, he used the labels of his soap to promote his belief that we should realize unity across religious and ethnic divides. And so the company began with Castile soap, but they moved into all personal hygiene products now. And so their mission statement is, at Dr. Bronner's, our mission is community. Our greatest work is to bring people together for the greater good. It isn't a marketing shtick. It's in our DNA and it's our business model. Everything we do is guided by our core values as outlined in our cosmic principles. And so the cosmic principles, there are 6 of them. The first is to work hard and prosper. The second is to do right by customers. The third is to treat employees like family. Fourth is be fair to suppliers. Fifth is treat the earth like home. And sixth is fund and fight for what's right. And so I chose this company because they have a lot of philanthropic involvement, which I think as a consumer is something that you would like to feel good about. In 2023, Dr. Bronner's was B Corp impact score was 206.9, which is quite high. They're very inclusive, and so 60% of all employees identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. The company has also installed 151 acres of dynamic agroforestry, so they've planted 774,000 trees.
So looking after the ecology as well.
Yep. And in 2023, Dr. Bronner spent $1.43 million on social and community projects and gave $5.67 million to charitable and activist causes.
Okay.
And so continuing with the advocacy, activism, and philanthropy, Dr. Bronner's contributed nearly $5.7 million to about 300 organizations, which advance animal advocacy, drug policy reform, regenerative agriculture, civil rights, and human reform, which are a few of just the 300 that they contribute to.
Okay.
And so to consumers, this is important because ethical consumerism, I feel like these days is
It is picking up. Yeah.
yeah, it's a big issue. And so they ensure that one way that they do that is to ensure that all employees in the supply chain earn a livable wage. So they start at about $25 an hour, which is pretty high for a starting salary in the United States. They also publish detailed reports on all their philanthropic activities, so they're very open with everything that they...
So the transparency is maintained in
yeah.
the reports. Okay, good enough.
The company is involved in a lot of social movements as well, advocating for policies that address a lot of systemic issues in the United States. And they understand the need for natural and safe products, which is another big thing in the United States. During my research, I found that since 2009, 595 personal care products or manufacturers have reported using more than 88 chemicals in 73,000 plus products. Like formaldehyde and methylene glycol, just to name a few.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for making us aware of a product or a company which we were not aware of. I have noted it down. I will definitely do a Google search and learn more about the company. And being part of this EWG movement, I would like to add to you by saying that with respect to this natural product, there are women entrepreneurs who are being handheld by EWG, who visited Bradley University last year. One particular lady was there who produces cold pressed natural ingredient soaps and other, other beauty products like that, So she was accepted very well at Peoria. When we made the presentations there, she was very well accepted. And one suggestion which I received, I remember because I was standing beside her, from the residents of Peoria, that we want to know the stories of the people who are producing that. So it was a suggestion received from one of the directors of TADA, that organization. I forgot the gentleman's name. He suggested, why don't you give a QR code to it, so that people who buy these products in Peoria, say for example, they get to know how the products have been made, what is the vision and mission of the woman entrepreneur, and why she started this mission. So this is something which I recalled as you were telling the story of this particular organization. So we are just on time. So thank you, the illuminated minds, for again illuminating us with your research, with your experience. I'm sure this won't go to waste. Your 5 minutes, I know there are a few hours study behind what you have presented in a couple of minutes time. So I, as the moderator of this session, thank each one of you for sharing your minds with us. So best wishes to all of you from the audience and from myself personally. So, thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you to all the speakers and all the students. Thank you so much, Abhik sir. Next, you people can please take your seats. Thank you so much. And next, I'll hand over the control to Patra Lekha ma'am for the next plenary session. Thank you so much, sir.
Very good afternoon, morning to all our young voices whom we heard just now. Thank you so much for that brilliant session. And very good afternoon to all the delegates coming from Bradley, coming from Brazil, coming from Rollins College and Calcutta University. As we begin our plenary session today, which is the next phase, which is with the topic social entrepreneurship. So, as we continue our day 2, on to day 2 of the International Conference on Entrepreneurship, Economics Management and Social Change, organized by the Department of Economics and Business Management, University of Calcutta, and supported by Sister Nivedita University, Bradley University, Catafly, and Alisar Impact, we begin the plenary session on social entrepreneurship. Loosely termed, social entrepreneurship is the process of using business principles and practices to develop innovative solutions to social problems. It involves creating sustainable businesses that address issues such as poverty, education, healthcare, and environmental sustainability. Social entrepreneurship prioritizes creating positive social change, develops innovative solutions to social problems, aims to create sustainable businesses that can scale. It collaborates with stakeholders, including communities, governments, and businesses. Benefits of social entrepreneurship include tackling pressing social issues, creating employment opportunities, encouraging innovative thinking, and last, creating lasting, sustainable change. But it also comes with its set of challenges, which includes securing funding, scaling social impact while maintaining sustainability can be very challenging at times. Assessing social impact can be complex, and navigating regulatory environments can be difficult. Social entrepreneurship has the potential to drive positive change and create a more equitable society. In this context, I would like to call upon our session chair, who is Professor Buddhashiva, School Advisor to the School of Dashgupta, School of Media, Communication, Fine Arts and Design. Sir, would you please come up on stage? And where is Professor Conway? Coming. And I would like to introduce our keynote speakers. We have Dr. Shomapti Kuhur, who is a professor at the Center for Social Entrepreneurship, School of Management and Labor Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. We will just wait for Professor Conway to come on stage. So the floor is all yours. The topic is social enterprise, and we will wait for Professor Conway to join you. Yeah, no, we'll wait for her. Because I think she has a presentation here. Okay, if you want to start, it's fine. So I'll ask the chair to take the floor, and we'll wait for Professor Conway to arrive while you start.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you so much. I wish I had, this is quite a big, arrangement that has been made in collaborations between so many universities. There's Calcutta University, we have Bradley University, we have SNU involved in it. I wish I had a little more knowledge about it. It was almost a last moment entry. So please excuse me if I go wrong in some of the statements while organizing or, getting this session through. Social enterprise, as our, lady coordinator has said, that it is bringing in the, you can say the capitalist ideas into socialism or something of that kind, the model which possibly China has adopted today. But in the local context, we have already seen such things operating in, even in the micro level. I'm sure you all know, the gentleman is now landed himself in a lot of controversy. Muhammad Yunus, for example, who had been operating a concept, and Bangladesh has been a lot benefited by that, the self-help group, and that in a way is also operational at the ground level in West Bengal, in many other countries as well. But West Bengal uses this particular concept of the self-help group, and that is led primarily by women, at the ground level. I hope you know how they finance the enterprises, and how they, even at the very, very minute level, they have been able to move the economy. So maybe there are other bigger enterprises. We know about Kiran Shah at the bigger level, or even the Indian-born, the leader who stepped down from Pepsi a few years ago. But she was also a name. I'm talking about the women enterprise that has happened over the period of time. So I would rather not sort of talk about the more examples of social enterprise. I would rather, request my speakers here, Professor Shomapti Guha, to carry on, and maybe if there is some help required where I can chip in, I will do. But I would love Professor Guha to continue with the discussion. Please. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Take your permission to.
Yes, sure.
I need my PPT. Yeah. PPT from up. This one or PPT format में नोटुन कंकना के पाठिए चिल्लाम. PPT format होने समय की ना वही. अच्छा उड़ा की आमी खाली एक टाइप देखे ना. ठीक है. এই যে এখানটা করুন, এখান থেকে ফুল স্ক্রিনে পাওয়া যাবে, ফুল স্ক্রিন মোড। I'm very happy to be here, and a big congratulations to EWG team, and very much thankful to Professor Sharmishta Banerjee and Professor Arijita to invite me to talk about social entrepreneurship in this forum. My topic is social entrepreneurship through the lenses of well-being and sustainable development. In this work, I take the critical lens of three concepts: social entrepreneurship, well-being, and sustainable development. And when I talk about the well-being of a person, theoretically I talk about the individual's satisfaction and the freedom in any choice an individual makes in their life. So I take the theoretical construct of well-being from Dasgupta, 2005, and also from to achieve this well-being, contemporary well-being, we also talk about in a macro sense the needs, capabilities, happiness, psychological well-being. Now, what is connection between the sustainable development and well-being? We think about the sustainable development, the most basic human condition, that is the well-being and our position in the nature. If we look at the UN agenda in 1992 Earth Summit, Agenda 21, it was a comprehensive program of action for global action. And if we look at that, what are the reasons of the unsustainable development? It's more on market saturation, somewhere it is political, somewhere it is economic uncertainty, inequality, hunger, so on and so forth. And when I talk about the well-being in depth, I also think about the Arrow's work, where he said that to assess the sustainable development through the lenses of the comprehensive wealth, we also need to think about the comprehensive investment for the comprehensive wealth creation, which contributed to the well-being. So the investment here is the stock of comprehensive wealth holding the shadow prices to constant, okay? Because you can't all the time measure the comprehensive wealth, but you can see the outcome of the comprehensive wealth. And recently, World Happiness Report, it talks about the subjective well-being and the sustainable development, and these two concepts are very much correlated. So at the lower level of well-being and the economic development are the correlated. In case of higher level, happiness and the well-being are connected. So even Rio Plus 20 UN conference was also criticized that to address important issues which creates the sustainable base for comprehensive well-being. And when we talk about the comprehensive well-being, it is not only in less crises, loss, quality aspect also we have to consider, and it should be intergenerational. So that's the way well-being and sustainable development are connected. Now, how we look at social entrepreneurs or social enterprises? We all know that social entrepreneurship is a process, and these are creating successfully social and economic development for the marginalized people. And the concept of AC also, we can study it from several dimensions, political, constitutional, even myth of AC also, and try to find the alternative democratic process and affirmation. When we look at the AC, how it is connected to SD and how it is contributed for well-being and SD, there are several researchers who think that it is contributing some aspect of the well-being, but not yet contributed to the SD due to sometimes lack of innovativeness and creativity. And also in African context, Nega Snyder's work, they said that AC can play important role in development by creating community-centered local solution, but it doesn't have much impact on poverty and the social transformation, as this approach has a lack of political focus. So from this base, I am creating this conceptual framework where I'm saying that outcome is basically the outcome of social entrepreneurs towards the well-being creation. And when we look at the well-being, I'm taking the broader concept of the freedom and satisfaction, which create a comprehensive wealth at the level of individual as well as at the level of the country. And social entrepreneurship, I position social entrepreneurship, they this approach contributing to the sustainable development, it can contribute to the comprehensive wealth and simple well-being also. Now, I have taken 3 cases for this forum, 3 cases of the social entrepreneur. So my first case is Sreyoshi, Society for Research and Rudimentary Education on Social and Health Issues. It was started by the Ashoka Fellow, Ms. Shikha Roy, and who is a social entrepreneur who started a women-led organization in the district of Bardhaman and Bankura. And when she mobilized the indigenous women in villages, and she found that women are doing a lot of agricultural work, but they don't have the land rights. And that's why she fought for 13 years to give that land rights to the women, because as per the constitution, any government land patta should be given to the equally distributed among the male and female in the household. And then through Jan Adalat, a local court, to register the cases in front of the district magistrate, district judge, and local panchayat authority to distribute the land rights among women. And he holds vast experience in formation of 300 women self-help groups, and all are coming from the community, Santali community, in 50 remote tribal villages in 8 panchayats and 3 blocks and 2 districts in West Bengal. And they facilitated to start integrated sustainable livelihood activities like products made of jute, bamboo, and savai grass, and also the dead palm leaves, and facilitating marketing the products, and started rural incubation center where the Santal women can come and they can do the peer learning of the skills and also some few marketing facilities. Now, second case is on social security for people with disability. Mr. Pradeep Ghosh, he is also an Ashoka Fellow and founder member of WASIS. So Mr. Ghosh visited lot of hospitals and find out that in the Bhopal city in Madhya Pradesh state of Madhya Pradesh in India, and he visited police stations and found that insignificant number of disabled persons met accident within the time period. And he collected lot of data from the hospitals, from police stations, and he showed, approached the insurance company that why don't you are selling the medical insurance to them, or the or life insurance also, because they are not very accident prone people. And then New India Assurance Company and then nobody was ready to listen to him. So he shared this information and filing public litigation with the private insurance companies in Bhopal, and New India Assurance Company Limited took the initiative and helped Mr. Ghosh to experiment with health insurance for the people with disability. The first success of the project was achieved on November 29, 2005, when the first mentally challenged in the country received the health insurance without paying extra premium. And on 28 March 2008, National Trust launched Niramay, an insurance scheme for the persons with autism, cerebral palsy, mental retardation, and multiple disabilities. Third case is my homegrown social entrepreneur this enterprise was incubated at Tata Institute of Social Sciences. It is called Sampoorn Earth Environment Solution Private Limited. So three students, the then students and now alum of my course, Jayant Nataraju, Debartho Banerjee and Ritvik Rao, these three started Sampoorn Earth Environment Solutions Private Limited to address the problem of waste management in Mumbai. And you all know that Mumbai city is very crowded city, and the waste management is a really big hurdle. So they helps to segregate the waste into biodegradable and non-biodegradable wastes, helps to develop composting pit at the source if biodegradable wastes are generated in a small quantity. If it is large enough, they help to set up the biogas plant, and for electronic waste, collects from the source and sends to the government registered recyclers. Like TISS is a zero waste campus because our biogas plants also supply the gas to our kitchen. So our dining hall is supported by our biogas plant, and we have also compost pit. So for the biodegradable waste, paper products are made, and very small amount of waste which could not be recycled, they sent to the dumping ground. So decentralization of waste management system reduces overall pollution level to the cities, and it also reduces the pressure on the dumping ground and reduces carbon footprints. So they are also working in the city of Goa and some Madhya Pradesh, Jabalpur and all. So when I look at all these cases and through the lenses of the well-being, these are the thematic themes are coming up. So first of all, how the approach of solving social problems, like Shreyoshi, these organizations challenged the state machinery about the land rights of the indigenous people, whereas Vesis appealed the state by showing his research output and by filing the PIL for the rights of the disabled people. And Sampoorn Earth, they are collaborated with established research institute like BARC, the Atomic Bhabha Atomic Research Center for the Technology, and Sri Mukti Sangathana, an NGO for accessing the community of the rack pickers for their ventures. So there is a transformation of the rack pickers' life also. They are not rack pickers, now they are the bio-waste manager. And so entrepreneur tried to either collaborate or develop network to address the problem, as the volume of each problem is very high. So network played a very important role when they are touching upon the well-being of certain community. Utility or satisfaction created for well-being by social entrepreneurs. So Shreyoshi generally, after getting the land rights, what they need to do. So all these indigenous women, they suggested that we will create the products which is connected to the land, and we will become the self-employed women. And so then sustainable employment brings also satisfactions to them. So that's the utility or satisfaction aspect of the well-being. And in case of Oasis, convinced the state authority to give the access to insurance to the person with disability in India and satisfaction for the families, not only the person but also the families. And Sampoorna gives satisfaction to their customers by providing end-to-end environment solutions as well as to women rag pickers, transformation of employment from informal to formal employment because they are the private company. So successfully delivering some forms of comprehensive wealth. However, for comprehensive wealth creation, choices of comprehensive wealth including non-marketed assets, institutional capital, etc. needs to be provided. That is limited in the context of the social entrepreneurship because all the three face lot of hurdles to create that comprehensive wealth. Now, freedom for well-being created by social entrepreneurs, when I see over 12 to 15 years, when I see the indigenous women, I see their practiced the entrepreneurial activity, and Shreyoshi created a space for the women entrepreneurs to liberate them from the clutches of poverty and oriented the target group to train the indigenous group for accessing freedom through capacity building. It's not only their employment, but the free space. And Oasis tried to create better resource allocation through insurance product, liberates the disabled people, and created a provision for better life, better freedom for accessing insurance products. Sampoorna liberates their customers and rag pickers from the unhealthy environment because rag pickers, mostly they used to work in the dumping ground. Now they are as a manager. So providing freedom to waste managers by generating formal employment. Though these enterprises have made an attempt to provide sustainable well-being in terms of freedom, there is a limited scope of this study to understand the nature of the freedom enjoyed by the target group. And nature of the comprehensive wealth created by ACs, generally in case of Shreyoshi, we have seen that marketed assets are created by them such as economic capital, generation of reproductive capital and intellectual capital because now these women are in the market space. So through the interaction with the consumer, their intellectual capital is also increasing. In case of Oasis, marketed assets are created by them such as economic capital and all the three capitals. And then Sampoorna also, they are creating this. So it is not clear whether the created marketed assets are sustainable in nature or it's just a kind of context specific or time specific. Now, whether this access to marketed assets is intergenerational in nature or not, we don't know. We have to wait because that's the journey social entrepreneurs started. So when I look at critically through the lenses of the well-being, we have seen that the ACs are successfully addressing social problems in the local context. But each of these social problems is connected to the global context. Now this global platform, whether they are giving to their target groups or not, that is a big question. And presently they are unable to focus on the interrelationship also. That local and global, how global issues are connected to the local issues, that connection is not established yet. And if they do not pay any attention to such relationship, restricted to local solutions to a small dimension of the problem, it looks almost like a band-aid to a problem, not a intergenerational, sustainable solutions. I think that social entrepreneurs, because it is an emerging area, we need to wait to see that how they are addressing the intergenerational well-being. Thank you.
We must thank Professor Guha for this wonderful presentation, and it's so, it's comprehensive and yet too pointed, trying to understand how, I mean, India is a very big country, but at the ground level, such things are being done, which provides a lot of hope. But it needs to be done in a much wider scale. I remember many of our, many of our, foreigner friends who land in the country. The first thing that strikes them is the waste, all around, thrown all around. This is something which is something which comes as a shock. But it gives hope that even at the ground level, how to manage waste. These attempts are being made, but I'm sure these are things which need to be replicated in a very large, in a massive scale. We can't leave it just to the municipalities or to the corporations. That it will not just happen. We will need to understand or take ours on ourselves, even at the micro level, how to manage waste, our own waste. So that is one major area. Then the land distribution, that is also a major change that can happen. And then the creation of the insurance for the challenged, for the mentally challenged or physically challenged people. Three most important examples show how things can be managed at the micro level. So next speaker. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor Shaumakti Guha, for that extremely detailed presentation. Our next guest speaker, and I'm very happy to welcome her on stage, is Professor Mary Conway-Dayton, and she is the Executive Academic Director of the Turner School of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and a Professor of Entrepreneurship in Bradley University. Professor Conway, I have no words to say because I have been a student in your class across entire semester at Bradley, and I think I remember how you are the last word on this topic. So please come up on stage. Very happy to welcome you on board.
Thank you.
I can just use this one, huh? Okay. So, sorry, I shouldn't have given that mic away because I walk while I talk. Yeah, let me do that. Oops. Okay, there it goes. I have a couple of questions for you before I get started, which will help me to also assess how much and how I can change the presentation. And I have a big belief that knowledge is community-based. And so first I have to ask for some help from the community. And Lorena, you're my closest here, so my help for you is to keep me on time. Okay, so this is a passion space for me in social entrepreneurship and the various elements of social entrepreneurship, so I can keep you here until dinner time. But I know that's not what you signed up for, so I will ask Lorena to help me keep, and I think we agreed, Professor, the time is 30 minutes. Okay, so keep me on time, Lorena, if you will. It is really my pleasure to be on stage with such a known scholar like Professor Guha in the space of social entrepreneurship. We've had the opportunity to present at the same conferences before at her home institution, my first time traveling to Mumbai. And so what I thought about for today's goals, and so I'm back to you as a community, is really 4 goals. I want to know from the audience, how many of you are professors? How many of you are professors? Okay, excellent. And our students in the audience? A few as well? Okay, so it's almost an equal mix. And I ask that because in our definitions for social entrepreneurship, which is sort of where I'm starting out, I'm not sure how much time to spend there. We've already had a really good presentation with very good examples of actual social enterprises starting. But one of the things that we have to acknowledge about social entrepreneurship is it's a contested concept. That means not everybody, and you heard this yesterday from some of the speakers if you were here, not everyone agrees on what it is. So I'm going to spend just a minute or two there. And then the context. We heard yesterday morning how context is very important. In addition to being in India and opportunity to research in India, my other area of research geographically is Mexico and increasingly Brazil. And so comparing of the context and understanding that and what problems, as some of Professor mentioned, that are actually in the market, in the community, that deserve solutions, and how local knowledge forms a better solution. And then contrasting what I call SE as social entrepreneurship and CE as commercial entrepreneurship. And finally, looking at some outcomes and processes. So my presentation is a little more theoretical because I didn't use examples, because I didn't want to talk about examples from India to a group of Indians who are going to know the community better than me. So let's see if I can go through this a little bit quickly. As I mentioned, social entrepreneurship and defining it is not easy because no one really agrees with what it is, right? So you all who have worked as professors or students who have been in our lectures, right? Defining a concept is the most important thing because it's the start of our knowledge, right? And from there, we can categorize and think about our world. So not only is it a problem that we don't have a definition, it also has impeded our advancement of our research because we keep just redefining it. Let's just have another paper about the definition of social entrepreneurship, right? And if you're finding it difficult to sleep, I can recommend a paper for you where I did an analysis on 50 different definitions on social entrepreneurship and created a bespoke model of the definition of entrepreneurship. But I think two important things here is the implication of it. So what it is, but understanding why it's important. So here you see, it's a profound implication for our economic systems. And I'm going to challenge two economic systems with due respect to our economists in the room. We know, and this is Santos of 2012, so this is quite some time ago when we were really just starting to talk about this, when he said that we are creating new business models, which is going to mean we need new laws, right, to address those business models. We're going to allocate resources differently, and that's going to challenge our supply chains. So the whole concept of social entrepreneurship is challenging the status quo, right? Social entrepreneurship recognizes opportunities to solve problems using some business models, right? And so what we see is social entrepreneurship as this process, right? The social enterprise is the thing. Social entrepreneurship is the process. And yesterday, someone mentioned the people, the planet. And what we less talk about nowadays is profit, and what we want to talk more about is prosperity, right? So that's a different, again, economic model. That's a different types of measurements that we need. And we heard yesterday, which was International Happiness Day, that there are many ways to measure prosperity, not just financial prosperity. So social entrepreneurship can give us some understanding of that. And so here's just a kind of conglomeration of definitions, right? The process of using business logic in entrepreneurial and innovative ways, which if you don't have that word innovation and risk-taking, you don't have entrepreneurship, you have a small business, right? So those are two different things, a small business and an entrepreneurial endeavor. But to talk about social, to address social and environmental issues. Here's my challenge to the system, right? On what is your left-hand side is our traditional CE, or commercial entrepreneurship, and on the right-hand side is social entrepreneurship. What I like to talk about when I've got a group of business students, or even better, a group of MBA students or leaders of organizations, is I say on the left side here that traditional corporations, traditional corporate entrepreneurship is very self-interested. So that gets everybody really offended, right? Because we're saying that commercial entrepreneurship, the first thing we talk about, the first thing we teach is protect everything and pay yourself first, It's the second thing we teach. So if you look at our models, sustainable competitive advantage, logic of control, the 5 forces from Michael Porter, IPP, trade secrets, right, profit maximization, value capture, those are all about protect what you have, right? If you contrast that with social entrepreneurship, what we say is others regarding. So that means that we're less concerned with protecting, and this makes everyone in the room nervous, and we're more interested in sharing sustainable solutions. So our open sourcing in IT and some other ideas is like, look, together, my role, my goal is to solve that social or environmental problem. That is my goal. And if that's truly my goal, and Professor mentioned this, if I'm going to be scalable, if I'm going to move beyond the local solution and consider that global impact, that means I have to share. And that makes a lot of traditional business people very nervous, right? So I'm looking to maximize, and you see there's some direct comparison across here. I'm looking to maximize societal impact. And please know that when I say societal, for me, that includes our environment, right? Environment and our society, one is a subset of the other. We need to look at community-based solutions, right? We have this joke in the United States, I don't know if you have it here in India, that when someone says to you, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, you should just run away, right? I would venture to say the same thing about many nonprofit organizations or NGOs, right? Many of our leaders who are going into very marginalized communities and say, I'm from outside and I'm here to help, right? That is not social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship is embedding yourself in the community, understanding, listening, and then together formulating that. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. So by now I have some folks kind of riled up, right, about basically everything we're teaching in the MBA is almost contradictory, right, to what we are teaching in social entrepreneurship, right? So the difference is who benefits, but it's very important to know, like as professors and as students, you like to put everything in a nice little box and get a definition and things like that. The world is messy, man. The world is dirty, it's polluted, it's crowded, right? And so should be our models, right? So we like to put everything in boxes, but it's not a dichotomous, but it's a continuum. And so we need to learn to work with this kind of ambiguity and hybrid organizations. For those of you who were here yesterday and heard Professor Sabine, we were talking about driving in the car, and we said that this was kind of the conversation we have. Here in India, is there a legal form for hybrid organizations? Is it easier to start a commercial enterprise or a nonprofit enterprise? And proverbially, the answer is commercial enterprise, and no, don't, for goodness sake, don't change the legal system, which means hybrid organizations are very difficult. So we've set up barriers toward our own solutions. So if I put all this together, I like to have the definition of social entrepreneurship more as, if you see, number 1 flows through number 7, right? So entrepreneurs address neglected social problems and challenge conventional wisdom, or what I always refer to as a status quo. How do they do that? Innovative business models that empower people to deliver sustainable solutions that are scalable, as Professor said, and replicable to achieve multiplier effects. So if I put that in Empowering Women Globally language, right, we started here in India, we started with one university, and as Professor Banerjee said yesterday, we had no idea what we were doing. I mean, we were just totally risking each other and okay, let's just see where this goes. And then more students, more professors, now another university, now 2 countries, right? So thinking about that scalability and that multiplier effect. One other way to distinguish this is to compare to the other elements. And I'm not going to read this chart for you, but it's a very handy way to look at government, charity or nonprofit organizations, commercial entrepreneurship, and this question came up yesterday, which was a beautiful answer around social activism and social entrepreneurship. And if you will, on the left-hand side where it talks about the role in the economic system, what is the dominant goal of those structures of society? And then what is the dominant logic, right? From where are we starting? The important thing here is not to say that one is better than the other, rather that a functioning society needs every one of these elements to function, right? So social entrepreneurship is not going to do away with government. Government is not going to do away with the need for charity, right? But if we have all of these working, right, our society is stronger, our countries are stronger, our connections are stronger. So this is kind of a nice way to think through that. I'm going to skip this slide here. Here's this idea of the spectrum, right? If I'm purely philanthropic and I'm purely commercial, and that most of what we do, right, falls in this middle of the spectrum of that. And so for yourselves as professors, as researchers, for students, for your businesses, startups, right, I ask you to think about where on this spectrum and what areas, beneficiaries, capital, workforce, suppliers, how can you work across this spectrum, right? Because we know there are disadvantages to being purely philanthropic, and there are disadvantages to being purely commercial, right? So how can we find that nice blend across those? Switching a little bit to this idea of social entrepreneurship in context, there's a couple of things that I want to point out. We spoke yesterday, and Lorena gave us a very good presentation on ecosystems. This diagram right here was for us the starting point, the thought structure to build empowering women globally. We said, okay, where can we get the government to fund? Who are academic and entrepreneurial academic institutions? What businesses can we help to fund what we want to do? And then the individuals and the intermediaries. And we just said, okay, if we can build this, right, how can we take from each of these? So that ecosystem that Lorena talked about yesterday is really important. Professor mentioned the connection to the UN SDGs. So this is really interesting when we work with our female entrepreneurs. We ask them this question: what UN SDG do you align with? What do you think their answer is? What's a UN SDG? Right? The answer is, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? And it's not a language problem. It's the idea of a small, we're asking really micro and small businesses to think about how they connect to the global network. And this is important not only for us as global problem solvers, but also for them to see themselves as a very important cog in the wheel of solving problems. And that they can understand that if they want to become more better suppliers, whether for the government or other enterprises, that they want to align with what those enterprises are prioritizing in terms of the UN SDGs. So I just want to ask real quickly, if a raise of hands, and don't worry, no one's going to call you out of this, how many of you have heard of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? Okay, excellent. How many of you are teaching it in your classes? Yeah, just an FYI, there were fewer hands up for the second class than the first class. So that's a challenge to us, right? For us to help our students and our entrepreneurs to see through that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the process of this. And some of the graphics got a little messed up here, but stick with me. When I show this, whether to researchers or to students, the biggest problem in the left-hand side, right, it says social needs and social assets. Everybody gets social needs. There's hunger, there's lack of housing, there's pollution, there's inaccessible insurance. Then I say, great, now go out and find the social assets. And everyone goes, what? Like, what's that exactly, Professor? What is a social asset? And it's this idea, again, that we're from the government and I'm here to help you. I'm from the United States and I'm here to help India. What kind of hubris is that? Instead, I need to understand, what are the assets? What are the things that are already working? What is the knowledge that the female entrepreneur brings with her? She has a set of assets. right? Even folks who are living below subsistence level, who are living in the favelas of Brazil, right, or in the slums, they have assets. They know how to function better than we will ever function in really difficult environments. So let's understand those first and combine those to get promising ideas, right? Don't have the hubris to say, I know how to fix your problem, right? Rather, to develop ideas together from this. Then we get this operating environment, right? Social impact theory, now we all get excited about all that, resourcing and strategy, operating model, right? So if you look at the bottom, if you can, step 1 is generate promising ideas, but make sure you're looking at the assets. And then step 2 is develop those ideas into some sort of attractive opportunity. And that's a really interesting question. To whom is the opportunity attractive? So Professor said, look, I'm telling you, folks with disabilities are less prone for accidents. Why would you not want to insure them? Right? It doesn't make sense. You've just neglected to look at this population because of some, I don't know, bias or prejudice or oversight. I don't know. I don't know enough about that industry. But thinking about for whom are we creating opportunities and for whom will that opportunity be attractive, because it's not always necessarily the beneficiary. And then through that, measure your social impact, which again, we could stay here all day talking about the challenges of measuring social impact. So what does that process look like? So we've talked about the social problem, the social assets, the unmet needs. And then just like every other entrepreneurial endeavor, right, you got to go through this concept development. And that means you have to be in the field. So if you're teaching, I would venture to say almost anything, and you're not leaving the classroom, you're probably only teaching a very limited perspective on it. So we heard yesterday from Professor Margaret McLaren, right, how many times she has been out into the field and lived together, whether it was with the women, OBGYN, how do we call those? Midwives, thank you, that took me a minute, to develop those concepts. And then figure out where you're going to get your resources from. And I was talking with Professor yesterday about what we were going to talk about, and I'm happy to take any questions on effectuation theory versus management theory, but this is very important in that research determination. When we started Empowering Women Globally, we had no idea what we were doing, and we had very few resources. Frankly, today we still have very few resources, yet we continue to develop those things. That's the entrepreneurial nature, right? And we're in that process of venture launch and growth. And then I mentioned, what are some outcomes? So this comes out of a fairly recent publication around how has social entrepreneurship been found to improve our societies? Is this a viable thing? Should we spend more time doing it, teaching it, researching it, encouraging students to start it? And so this gives us some ideas from different researchers around, yes, there are positive outcomes of social entrepreneurship. And so if your students find their passion, right, we talked about that yesterday with happiness, and ask them, and the UN SDGs, what are some things that you would like to try to impact? And so this is just to demonstrate that although it's a new concept, although it's a contested concept, there's evidence out there that it is making a difference, and a positive difference in our world. I'm going to leave you with this thought of, okay, I asked who the professors were, and we've got some younger researchers here, and there are sort of 6 general themes that the literature is telling us are valid or opportunities for research. I would venture to say this first one is, what is social entrepreneurship, has totally been done. So don't even go there. Like, there are a lot of articles that make you sleep. Who are likely social entrepreneurs? This is very interesting, and Dr. Banerjee and I did an interesting paper around the idea of whether it was an epiphany, right, and the different influences between Mexico and here in India that drives social entrepreneurs, because there is some cultural differences. So I think there's some, but we need to move away from the characteristics of the social entrepreneur and think about how they're structuring once they're found, and what are the levers and the barriers for them to become social entrepreneurs. Yesterday we heard a little bit from Surabhi Mitra, who talked about innovation in SE and what is the entrepreneurial orientation and creativity and how we have innovation and how do we measure that innovation. Human resources, business strategy, value creation, and then the challenges faced by social entrepreneurs. Now, not sure if you look at that and you say, oh my gosh, I don't find my place in these 6 things. I would say this is what the literature is telling us is there, but look, we've learned in the last day, where's happiness? Right? There's an opportunity there for research. As a PhD in marketing, I would say, hello, where's marketing? Right? So that's a very under-researched way. And when I did my postdoc seminar on social entrepreneurship, because there was no such thing when I got my PhD a long time ago, I kept saying, where's the marketing? Where's the marketing? And they're like, don't worry about it. We're talking about organizational development and format and management stuff. And I was like, okay. So there's some things missing here. So don't feel discouraged. On the contrary, feel empowered if you don't find your space there. I'm going to leave you with sort of 2 final thoughts. So you want to be a social entrepreneur, and I'm talking about entrepreneurial educators here as well. Like, what does it take? And so I talked about these in marketing, right? We talk about the 4 Ps or the 9 Ps, depending on how you are, but I thought I'd formulate this in terms of Ps. So persistence, patience, purpose, people, prosperity. Not necessarily in that order, but they're all necessary, right? Because social and environmental challenges take time, right? Society does change, culture does change, but it doesn't happen quickly. And the last thing, and we spend a lot of time at the Turner School at Bradley University talking about this very idea of mindsets, and that mindsets matter. And so on the left-hand side, you sort of see what has traditionally been maybe the managerial approach, right, and some societal approaches. And what on the right-hand side is said to be the entrepreneurial mindset, right? And so I leave this, when you get discouraged because the change is not happening fast enough, or no, everyone thinks you're crazy, which for me I think is a good thing if people think you're a little bit crazy. But reorient yourself about this, right? And where are you falling on that? So I wanted to leave you with that. I know Professor's going to take us through some thoughts, and I'm going to have a seat and see if there are any questions. Thank you, Lorena, for keeping me on time.
Okay, after this wonderful presentation, I think we should open up and it's now open for everybody. If you have any questions to both our speakers, I mean, which we really enjoyed. Please, any questions?
Thank you for the lovely presentation, both of you. And thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to ask. Pardon my ignorance on the depth of the knowledge on social entrepreneurship that both of you have. We've read about institutional voids, and we're talking about context. So is that an overlap, or are institutional voids a subset of the context that we're talking about? We have been talking about context since yesterday.
I feel that institutions is the part of the context. And when I say the social context, I mean that it's also combinations of different formal institutions, informal institutions, and different forms of organizations also. So when we are thinking that context from local to global, that journey is not possible, or have not had done yet. So there is a scope for institution building also, whether it is formal or informal, but which will push all the beneficiaries. I would not say the beneficiary, I would say that the community, which will go from the local to global, that journey, that ecosystem has not yet built up. So for me, institutional void is very much part of the context. Context is the bigger concept.
Thank you. 100% agree with that, and I would add to the idea that institutional voids and the filling of institutional voids was a lot of our original, if you will, motivation, right? The thought of the motivation for the social enterprise and for the process of social entrepreneurship was to fill institutional voids. I think what happened and the limitation of that is when we did that, we looked at very formal institutions, as Professor Gul was saying, that we didn't understand that there are a lot of informal social institutions that are actually filling the voids. And so for me, it goes back to, that's an excellent example of a social asset, right? And understanding that some of those informal institutions, which we overlook, fill the void of formal institutions. And then the question is, should we formalize that? And yes or no. And often that motivation for social entrepreneurship and social enterprise was also very limiting from a market perspective in terms of need fulfillment or opportunity, and a different way to fill needs and to deliver on a possibility of an opportunity. So I hope that talks a little bit about it, Dr. Banerjee. Thanks for the question.
Hi, I have another question. So basically the ones who are present in the room are very interested in learning about entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, but there is a gap in the mindset of young people because we are more driven towards taking up a job, and that is easier for sustaining our families because it pays easy, there is lower risk. So my question is, we are not usually driven into entrepreneurship by pull factors yet. We are people who are into small business or entrepreneurship are going there mostly because of push factors. There are very few people who go there because of drive or genuine ambition. So my question is, how do we change that mindset, or how do we intervene and where do we exactly intervene so that we can inspire people our age or people our generation to take up more of entrepreneurship, or maybe just have a shift in the mindset from taking up a job or becoming an employee?
May I, Professor? May I start that? I'm sorry, what was your name?
Polomi. My name is Polomi.
Polomi. Ah, I can't see from the light. Polomi, is that you, Polomi?
Yeah, that is me.
Sorry, there's a little glare.
No, that's
so
why I understand.
it's a little hard for me to see the person. So thank you for that question. And with due respect, I'm completely going to challenge you on it.
Please do.
So where is your assumption, or where is your data coming from about this idea of the mindset?
Well, I'm just working on my PhD, and we have been working on a lot of secondary data sets like economic census and India Human Development Survey or the Periodic Labor Force Survey. I'm talking in the Indian context.
Yes, yes.
And first of all, there is a dearth of publication of data and availability of data since 2014. That's a challenge. But then the data has been very disappointing because most people, even though they are not being able to get jobs, they are persistently waiting for jobs. And there is a very, how do I put it? The intention of entrepreneurship, that degree has been measured, and that is quite low, especially among certain states in India.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to allow Professor to speak a little more about the Indian context, but I want to also challenge you, A, to be sure you're presenting the source so we understand whether you're saying that as observation, which may be very valid, or secondary research or primary research, so we are understanding that. It helps us to prepare our answer better. And the second thing, the reason I challenge is certainly there is a global movement around an increased concern around social and environmental sustainability, right? Climate change, we're beyond the idea of climate change, climate devastation, right? These things is very much a concern in the generation certainly younger than me, than there was in my age at that time. So I think our challenge, and you can look at GEM data, as well as so the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor data, as well as both public, what's the word I'm looking for, mass media publications, as well as more journal publications that say that the desire to do something is there, all right? And then I would say we as professors are failing to help students to understand that that is a path and to equip them with the type of thinking that is necessary. And of course, we as professors also operate under our administrators, so yeah. But, so I would challenge us to do that, because in India, the last GEM data that I looked at actually says the intention to, the desire to intend to start an entrepreneurship, not social, but entrepreneurship in general, is actually very high. It's one of the higher nations. Brazil is higher than India, but it's high. What is lacking, what is low, is A, self-confidence, and the degree of risk. So in other words, I might come from an emerging market which has a better social safety net, or I might come from a higher socioeconomic strata where I can afford to do those things. So there are both barriers, but that motivation is there. It's our teaching of how to execute on that, and this fallacy that a corporate job, even frankly, especially right now in my country, that a professorial job, even a union job, is secure, because they're not, right? But we have taught that government jobs are secure. Hello. They are not either, just like I said, and we talked about yesterday, like there's a lot going on in my country right now where people are like, whoa, I thought I was secure for life, and I'm not even secure for next week. So let's challenge some of that. Thanks for the question, Palumi.
Any other questions?
May I?
Yes, please.
I want to add two points in Indian context. What we can do in an experimentation basis, that when our students are coming, already 18 years of education they have done, but 18 or 15 years, whatever. So some fixed mindset already happened, and they have a lot of role models who are into the job. So one hand for a short term, and there we need to think up for the long term also. So for the short term, we need to bring the startups or entrepreneurs into the classroom on a regular basis, so that they have a exposure. When we talking about the entrepreneurial intention or orientation, they don't have the orientation. Neither they have a background at the familial level. So they are, from the early childhood, their mind is programmed, right? So there we have to have a bigger role as a professor, as a teacher. That is a short-term thing. But if you want to bring a change in the behavioral pattern, we need to work with the schools, so that the moment they coming to the 6th standard, so now hackathons and all these are performing, right? In the some of the schools, not all, because there are several schools. I would say that in my state, West Bengal, the major schools, they don't have that kind of infrastructure, or the teachers are not interested. I will do that whatever UGC has told me. I will not cross that boundary. If I cross the boundary, I can see that there is a possibility of a change. And so that at the UGC level or the university policy level, if it comes as an outreach program, that whatever the near vicinity, whatever the schools, there is a connection with the kids, maybe with some kind of exhibitions or some kind of, competitive thing or collaborative thing, if we can start with small, small events, I think maybe we will take another 10, 20 years to change, little bit change in the mindset.
Yeah. Sure, sure.
So in India, the successful business, most of them actually come from intergenerational resources. So they are all business houses. So when it is coming to a student who is not belonging to a business family, they think, I'm talking about my experience, that they think, oh, I do not have the family background and I do not have the experience as well as the resources. So I better try for jobs. First option is government jobs, and then the second option is private jobs. So if we want to change that mindset, I'm 100% in agreement with Shamapti, what she's saying, that we need to start the dialogue in the schools, not even in the colleges. So that's the problem, that I do not think that I have enough resources, knowledge, as well as the ecosystem beside me to start and flourish in the business.
Thank you so much, Arijita. We'll take one final question, sir.
Yeah,
from
if
Professor
anyone.
McLaren.
Anyone else?
Yes,
Please.
Professor Madhav.
First, thank you both for your talks. I really enjoyed them and learned a lot. So first an observation and then a question related to it. So it's Samapti. You ended your talk with this slide about the critique of social entrepreneurship, which really captures the thing that I'm most interested in, which is this connection of these social problems, the local social problems, to the global context. And so my observation is, even though both of you defined social entrepreneurship and talked about it, in my view, it's a huge umbrella, right? So we have things like, going from the first student panel, we have things like Ben & Jerry's under it and Dr. Bronner's, and then we have your case examples, like especially the rural organization that works with Chantal people to market their crafts and support that. And then the rag pickers, right? And then working towards biomanager engineers. So given the wide range of these kinds of, sort of more, like I'll take Ben & Jerry's, sort of more middle class social entrepreneurs, but doing great things, right? I mean, doing very conscious, doing a lot of philanthropy. And then also social entrepreneur enterprises that are really working with the marginalized populations. And there's some in the US too. There's a great cooperative in Cleveland that works with convicted felons once they're released. And and they're primarily African American. So you've got this huge umbrella. You've got these two vastly different kinds of social enterprises. So you started to say, in answer to Sharmista's question about the institutions, so what specifically could be done to bridge this gap between the local social problems and having the people actually engaged in the enterprises, not just the educators or academics, but the people actually engaged, the workers. Like Mary said, we showed them the SDGs and asked which one they wanted, and they didn't know what they were. So what can be done to bridge that gap? So the question is to both of you.
So, first of all, thank you for the question. To bridge the gap, I might not have the concrete solution, but I can suggest some kind of pathways. So when these social entrepreneurs are working with the marginalized community, it should not be only that product making and selling and that's it. They also need to have a bigger picture. They need to create a platform. They need to create a lot of networking with several entities, several institutions which are already there. But the problem is the institutions are working in silos And these people are working in silos, and if they are not communicating, if they are, and there I think sometimes some element of marketing is also required. Generally, social entrepreneurs, they are very focused on the context and on the work, but they are not ready to talk about their work, especially in Indian context. We have to tell them that please tell your work, share your work. So that sharing may be as a first step, that different forum you have to be bold enough to go and share your work. You take them those forums so that they have a bigger picture. So I feel that networking, creation of the platform, and some element of marketing, not for the product but for those marginalized community, and their capability, because you are challenging a very big societal norm that they are not capable. Now you have to tweak the situation. So if we can do, in a small step, I think sometimes we can invest it, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you, and thanks for the question, because in my opinion, you've hit the nail on the head, which is actually Ben and Jerry's social entrepreneurship. And remember that that's not what we ask the students to do. We ask the students to think about a business that they know about or that they have experience with, and how is it presenting a positive social or environmental impact, right? Those students, frankly, I've not taught any of those students. We have one of those students who's in our living learning community on innovation, but probably, no, I know this, have never had a class in social entrepreneurship. Some of them are first year, some of them are last, finally about to graduate in a couple months. They've never had a course. So I would say, but your point, and it connects very well to Dr. Banerjee's, the institutional void that exists is the fact that we don't have legal forms called social entrepreneurship. So we do have, in the United States, in some states, and it's so different by country, and in our case in the United States, it's different by state. Because the last count, don't quote me, but the last time I looked at the data, of our 50 states, yes, we only have 50 states, in the United States, about 32 of them have a legal entity called a benefits corporation. And a benefits corporation allows a company legally to prioritize their mission, which they must define and they must measure and give indicators to, over profit. So they can make those decisions and no one can legally sue them. Because technically, if you're doing CSR in the United States and CSR is reducing your bottom line profit, a shareholder has the right to take you to court to say, no, your legal entity, an LLC, its first primary goal is to drive profit. And so if you're diverting from that profit in order to save some problem or some whale or some mangrove somewhere, you're actually diverting money, and that's illegal. And so we must look at that institutional void of, a benefits corporation or some. There's also a 3LC, I can't remember the exact term, that a couple of states have, but many states, and England, the UK really has a very strong definition of a social enterprise and very strong parameters around that. And so we know what we're talking about when we're talking about it. In Latin America, they have a lot of B labs, but very few countries have a legal entity that allows me to operate in certain ways. So I either have to be a nonprofit, which comes with usually more constraints, frankly, than a for-profit, and are audited on a higher level, percentage-wise, the 3 countries that I know of, than are for-profits. And in terms of marketing, what I hear from folks who are working in social entrepreneurship, with the exception of Clean the World, which some of our scholars know about, is when you put that target on your back that says, I am a social enterprise, or I am doing things, it is exactly that, a target. And at Bradley, we invited, in the 2 years that I've been there, we do a Distinguished Entrepreneur of the Year. And the first year that I was there, we had a gentleman who was the CEO, he's multiple patents, et cetera, but he's the CEO of bookings.com and priceline.com. And he talked both about he does a lot more social and entrepreneurship now, but that's what he talked about, Booking.com. And everyone was like, oh my God, great business model, fabulous. Oh, thank you so much. The next year we had a social entrepreneur, Sean Siepler from Clean the World, and everybody said, yeah, he's totally whitewashing. Yeah, he's totally greenwashing. He's social washing. I don't believe. So the doubt with which we come almost immediately to anyone who says, I'm trying to do something for the world. So that's that change of mindset that I think. So a little bit long, but a really good question.
Well, thank you so much. Both the speakers have already made us start thinking differently. I think that was the aim which they intended to introduce. But I would love to, carry on this, the discussion, but we are short of time. We will have to wind up and move for lunch. Just thank Professor Guha and Professor Conway. Just I would like to end the session with a question. Like, as Professor Conway sort of explained, or the idea what social entrepreneurship is, and Professor Guha gave us some examples of how it is already working at the ground level. But you had already referred to things like the SDGs. They have a deadline for, you have a thing like, if you are, say, zero emission, we are talking about zero emission, they have a deadline of 2030 or 2050, and possibly India has added another 20 years to go to zero emission, 2070 maybe. But with social enterprise, do you have such a deadline with the slow progress, or challenging the structure? That is challenging the status quo, and which is very difficult to make a breakthrough. When do you think you can achieve it? 100 years, 200 years, or earlier?
Thank you. We will be two announcements. Thank you so much to our session chair, to our keynote speakers for that extremely scintillating discussion. It sparked a lot of conversations, and we have so many more questions in our minds. And in fact, I had to refrain. Sir had a question. I had to stop him from asking it because we have to break for lunch. So we will be breaking for lunch, and our parallel technical sessions, track 3, will begin, and they are in 2 venues, one in the seminar hall and one in the moot court. And they will begin from roughly 2 o'clock. And lunch is served in the placement cell. So we will continue after that. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all the speakers and the guest chair.